Hi there folks, my name is Novawing24 and welcome to another interview here at FlightSim Expo 2024, and this is the annual interview. It's the annual interview that I get to have with FSElite. So Calum, it is great to have you here once again.
Thank you, it's great to be back.
It's funny because, folks, this is the end of the last day now, so you can tell that we're all getting a little bit hoarse, a little bit tired, but
Bags are showing.
Yes, yeah, the bag's showing. But how has the show been for you? Because you've been busier than even you normally are this year.
Yeah, I mean, well, firstly, huge shout out to Evan and Phil for again, and also the volunteers for putting on just a spectacular show, biggest yet. And you get that vibe, you get that feeling from being in here. I mean, we're in Vegas. I'm so happy to be back in Vegas. It's been a while, but just everything is so much bigger. I mean, the booths are bigger, the stage is bigger, the amount of people here, there's more of them. And yeah, I have been busy doing lots of different things, but the atmosphere's been great, the community have been amazing, and it's just great to, again, just see everyone for our annual get-together here in North America.
I must admit, when you said booths before, I thought you said something else for a second there, but anyway, moving on.
Some of them too?
Yeah, I mean, yes, there has. Anyway, so of course, what's your, being the news agency that you are, being the quite frankly the leading news agency, when it comes to flight simulation, what's been some of your key takeaways? Because of course, we had the product announcements on Friday. You've had the FSElite stage where we've been, demonstrating the products have been announced, release dates have been announced. We've had the seminars going on. Yep. What have been your key takeaways from this weekend?
I think to sum up, I think this has been the best year for developers really taking advantage of being at an expo. So thinking about Friday, that Friday FlightSim Expo seminar thing where we literally had 4 hours straight of bam, bam, bam. Here's something new. Here's an update. Here's this airplane we're making. Here's like all this cool stuff we're working on. Here's some brand new tech. And normally developers have been a little bit shy or maybe not forward thinking enough to think about, hey, I've got this big captive audience that I can talk about my product for the first time or like an update. Yep. But this year I felt like, people bought their A game. We saw the 787 from Bluebird. They updated us on the 7576. We saw X-Plane do a great big announcement about X-Plane 12.1. We saw even like WinWing astound the room with kind of their cheap hardware as well. Like
that hardware, I'm not an airliner pilot, but I looked at the hardware and went, that is at least like half the price of anything else I have ever seen for those aircraft.
And I think just, again, what was really cool was that room, regardless of the developer on stage at the time, it was pretty full. And normally, your big names will always draw those crowds, but I think it was really cool this year. They didn't really show a schedule of exactly who was going up when, and in fact, it was just more of a surprise. So actually, people discovered new products that maybe they didn't think they would like, and actually came away thinking, oh wow, that was cool. And then there's obviously all the booths. I think this has been the best booths in the exhibit hall that we've ever seen. I feel like just this media thing right now that we're in is super cool. We've got
a slight addendum here, folks. So the background you've seen to most of the interviews that I've been doing here, we have a media area for the first time. Now, we've been asking for this since 2016 in the old version of this expo, and it's been an absolutely amazing and a great thing from the developer point of view, because as well, we get to be able to give our developers 5 minutes off their feet while we have a chat to them.
Yeah, and just the sheer, not complexity, but just how big and visual these booths are this year. I mean, just even looking out around now. I know the camera's pointing at us, right? But you can just see towers of different brands. They've really pulled out all the stops. I mean, when we first started going to these shows, it was literally they turn up with a table, a laptop, and a pull-up banner. That'd be it. Whereas now they are very intricate. There's so much merch that my suitcase is now stuffed already. I've got my year's supply of clothes, of t-shirts. And yeah, it's been non-stop. I mean, again, you asked about the media side of things, and I looked earlier, we've written about 32 pieces of content purely just from announcements or things happening at the show. That excludes the interviews that we've done, that excludes kind of the stage stuff we've done, and that excludes being hands-on with anything. That is purely just new information coming out. So this has been the most announcement-driven expo ever, and I think that's a good thing, and I want that trend to continue for next year.
And I think that's something that I think is a great thing to see with those announcements. And I hadn't really thought about it until you said it, that, yeah, you're right. This is really the first year where it's not just the big names that have taken advantage that they're in a location. Everybody's brought their A game. Everybody's making their announcements. Because, yeah, we've got so much content. I mean, I was doing the Twitter sort of live post of everything going out there, and it was just insane how quickly everything was being announced. So what do you think from the, so, you know, we'll talk about the media side of it, but from a user perspective, because, you know, a lot of people, especially people who might be watching this, didn't have a chance to come along. Now, not necessarily that you have to come to the American one, but what's the importance of events like this from a virtual aviator's perspective? Why should somebody come to, whether it be, you know, the event in the UK, one in Holland, you know, one in Germany, or one here in the US? Why should people make the effort to come?
Community. Like, honestly, I sound like such a broken record when I keep talking about this, but the fact I get to see you once a year, potentially. I get to see a bunch of other people once a year, and to me it doesn't feel like I've missed that year of conversation with you. I feel like we just pick up right where we left off, and I think you can only experience that when you're physically at the show. I get not everyone can travel all the way to the west coast of the US, or maybe Vegas isn't their thing, but like you said, there's not just this show, there are other shows out there that still have this community aspect, that you can still go and meet like-minded people, you can try the hardware, you can speak to the devs, but ultimately you're going to make friends. And I don't mean just friends you're going to like pot around with, but friends you see on a yearly basis. Yes. And you will just go grab a beer, grab a coffee, and just catch up. And that is the reason I come to this show for a lot of reasons, but in terms of like what I enjoy the most, it is just catching up with you.
And that's so great to hear that, you know, somebody else is saying that, because, yeah, for me, that's the big thing it's about. It's about the community coming together, and I think that in-person events like this is the place where people realise that there is actually more that unites us than divides us.
100%.
And I think, you know, other sides of the course, you get the added bonus of being able to use hardware, because, let's be honest, the hardware for us Sim isn't cheap.
No.
So these are generally the only places we can get hands-on with it.
Yeah, and you know, I don't have a VR headset, for example, and I still keep meaning to buy a VR headset, but I come to these shows and every year there's something new, some new technology, or it gets better and better and better, and I'm closer to buying one.
You're closer.
But it's just a cool place just to try stuff out, and you know, it's great as like we are for writing our reviews, and like content creators like yourself of doing reviews for people. It's not until you get hands-on with it yourself and get to feel it or experience it for yourself, you can get a true picture of whether or not that's going to suit you, because it's great for me to talk about a piece of hardware in my home office on my desk, but if you've got a garage with like a real thick desk or you know, a metal, like your needs are going to be very different to what I can provide as a reviewer. I can provide as broad a sense as one as possible, but actually coming here and trying it for yourself and like I saw a guy with measuring tape, like measuring every little aspect. So, but you can only really do that when you come to these shows.
No, absolutely right. So, so looking forward to next year then?
Yes.
So,
100%.
By the way, folks, when we're recording this, they're literally announcing it in another room, so we don't actually know. By the time this video goes live, we'll know where the next event is. We'll talk later. But there you go, folks. So yeah, looking forward to next year.
Always. I mean, again, coming to this show this year, so we've done a big thing this year is the stage. So we've had it in the corner, right in the main exhibit hall, which is the first time it's ever happened like this. So we've been super lucky and fortunate to be able to sponsor it this year, and kind of what was meant to be just us doing it for the afternoons turn into us doing it for the whole weekend, because we reached out to devs and said, hey, we're doing this thing. Do you want to be a part of it? And everyone was like, yeah, that'd be amazing, that'd be super cool. Because as much as the big seminar rooms are amazing and great for long presentations and talks, our stage was designed to be a bit more rapid fire, 15 to 20 minutes tops for like interviews or a very brief product announcement. So we had TFDI announcing the MD-11 coming out on July 2nd. And it being so central, or not central, but in the main
hall, being accessible,
just meant even if people didn't have an interest or a knowledge of who TFDI or any of the other developers up there were, they would walk past and go, oh, that looks cool. I'm going to stand here and now watch this presentation, which you don't really get from the big seminar room. So I think that was a real success, and that's the thing we're going to really think about for next year. And what learnings can we apply from this year for next.
And I think you touched on something else that's another sort of thing that's important about events like this is that you step outside of your own comfort zone and your own knowledge by going, okay, I walk past, airliners, airlines aren't my thing, but hey, or say intentions actually is a great example for me. I had no interest in it because it's ATC for airliners. I'm not interested in that. But then I'm like, what's this feature of like tour guides and stuff? And I'm like, okay, now I'm interested. Tell me more. And I wouldn't have had access, I wouldn't have known about that if I hadn't have come to a show like this.
Yeah, and even for me, I'm supposed to have my finger on the pulse. And I try to, but there's just so
much going on.
Just come in here, and I'm like, I've never seen you before. And they're like, oh, we know who you are. And I'm like, oh, cool, okay, well, let's find a way to work together. Let's find a way to get your products so we can review them. So even from a media or business perspective, it's, again, like appealing to the developers here, it's a great way to find your new business partner or find a way for different companies to work together. So there's a lot of reasons to come to these shows. Even if you don't have a booth, you can still mill around and
walk the floor.
And again, locations like Vegas and where we're going next year, there's going to be stuff to do, and it's not just about the show, it's all the stuff that happens before and after the show as well, whether that is just catching up with friends, going out for dinner, or just hanging out at the beach for next year.
I think we got some ideas there. All right, well, look, thanks very much for coming along again, Calum. It is great to see you. As I said, this is as Calum said, this is our once a year catch up, and this is a tradition of doing this interview, and it's great to hear that you had a positive experience. And again, for me, seeing the positive that you do for the community, whether it be through FSElite or whether through be hosting the stage this year, it's great to see, the developments that you've done, you've pioneered, and the transparency you've pioneered in our little space, in our little corner of the virtual world has been great. So thanks very much for joining us once again.
And likewise to you, and to the guys are over there streaming right now, and all the content creators. I think you guys, I don't know how you do what you do. I could not sit on a computer and fly a plane whilst engaging with the community and reading chat and doing all of that stuff. So my hat goes off to you guys too. So thank you as well for what you will do.
Thank you very much. All right, and with that, folks, that does round out this interview. Thank you very much for joining myself here with Calum here at FlightSim Expo 2024. Don't forget, if you want to head along to a FlightSim Expo near you, definitely look for one. Obviously, this is the big one in the US, but have a consideration and think about and look for ones that are near you that maybe you can get to. They're easier than this one because, as we've both said, they are really important events for you to get to. So, all right, folks, thanks very much for joining us. Take care, safe skies to all, be amazing humans, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.